in a second here.
Excellent. We are backstage right now with AbilityMKE Now. We will be going live in about 20 seconds. So just stand by and get ready to have some fun. Welcome to AbilityMKE Now. My name is Sue Roskoff, and we are here on River West Radio. AbilityMKE Now is a show all about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, and here at AbilityMKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability hits a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own or with people we know or people we encounter in our daily lives. Here at AbilityMKE Now, we break down the barriers and celebrate the ability in all of us. I am so excited to introduce a guest to the show this evening, and actually to do the formal introduction, I'm going to go ahead and bring Emily Golmer in to have that honor. Emily, over to you.
So welcome everybody to another show. So our guest tonight, we met through the it's called the Daily Huddle, and so his name is Giovanni. Met him through the Daily Huddle. He's in Atlanta and has an organization called Mindful Performance Blueprint, and it is about a leadership strategist, cultural transformation, and so on. So, Giovanni, why don't you come in here and say a little more about who you are, what you do? Glad to have you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I am delighted to be here and be able to share with you guys some ideas and maybe a little bit of my life and my work. Thank you. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Sue.
So glad you're here. So tell us a little bit more about who you are.
Yes, thank you. I am originally, I want to start from the beginning. Originally, I'm from Colombia, and I also grew up in Belize. And that's a little bit of where the accent comes from. There's a little bit of that Hispanic accent, and then there's a little bit of the Caribbean accent, and then a mix of a lot of things. I've been in the US for over 20 years now. And now my life has evolved to do what what she was sharing. For about almost 8 years now, I have been working on a firm. We created a firm on leadership development and effective communication and management. And we have been having a lot of fun doing that. And I started doing that because of my own personal transformation that happened right maybe about 20 years ago or so, when I felt I was leading my life in complete opposite direction in where I wanted to go my life. And I think that many people can relate to that, and many people are doing that and have done that, where they really want to see their life to go in one direction, but really they end up doing something else. And I had a number of people who I met by accident who introduced me to a field of leadership development and personal development. And that completely shifted my life. So over the years, I delved into that industry until I was the one who was leading the workshops. And we have been doing that for 8 years now. And I have worked in Africa. We have worked in South America. We have worked in the Caribbean and the US. And lately we did work with the United Nations in South America in helping large companies empower small companies after the pandemic. So there was a lot of communication that needed to happen, and we were one of the firms that supported that journey. So it's been a lovely journey for over the years, and I'm privileged to do what I do.
That sounds so interesting. Oh my goodness. So between all the different places and all the different people that I can imagine that you would have encountered along the way. Wow. Uh, so one thing that comes to my mind right away, I always love to ask if you have any particular stories that maybe stand out from that journey along the way with maybe perhaps somebody that you may have met along the way. Because I know I heard you say people that you had met by accident along that made a difference in where you ended up, and I can relate to that. We've talked about that on here before, where sometimes it ends up being kind of a thin thread of how you get from where you are to somewhere else. And that journey, even less having the radio show, the journey that brought us here and that we're doing this. I never saw this in my future, but I'm sure glad it's here. So I that totally resonated with where I am. I'm just kind of curious, do you have any particular story that you might want to share with any of those pieces?
Yes, absolutely. And one that comes to mind was actually at the beginning of all of it. It was someone who worked really hard for many years. My family had given me that philosophy of life of work hard. And I didn't know how to live life while I was working hard. And so I was trying to numb myself at a point through alcohol and maybe substances, and just trying to entertain myself rather than to really look at myself, rather say. And I was working at a restaurant and I was the cook, and I was the cook in the weekends and the busboy during the week, and I was doing everything in that restaurant. And my cousin invited me to a soccer game on a Sunday, and it was my only day off at that moment, and I decided to go with him. And while I was there trying to enjoy the soccer game and the field and the people and trying to have a day off, there was a lady that approached my cousin to she was looking for people who spoke Spanish to create a sales team. And since he didn't speak English that well, he brought me along. But this is the reason why I'm bringing this story is because when I started to translate for him what she was saying, her name is Donna Page, I started asking her questions about being in part of the sales team. And I noticed that she started talking to me like a big person that I didn't think I am. And I started noticing that she was seeing me as this very big person that had this big potential in life. And my surrounding wasn't really looking at me that way. And so she invited us over to her house to share a little bit more about this team she was building. And she continued to look at me in this manner in which I didn't see myself. And at some point later on in life, I got something that it uses me now, and it really has made a difference. And it's that people become eventually the way you see them, not the way that they are, but the way that you see them. And I am forever grateful to her because the way she saw me had me question who I am. And so now in my life, since my life is about management and leadership development, I create environments where people see each other bigger than they can possibly see themselves. And that has brought a lot of fun and results.
That's awesome.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I'm actually, I think a lot of people can relate to what you were just saying. That is something that I think people with a visible disability can absolutely hear that and say, "Oh, I know what that feels like." Because I'm just thinking about a friend of ours who happens to be a wheelchair user, and the number of times that I even see, if somebody approaches and has a question for him, they don't even necessarily ask him. They'll ask the caretaker person that's with him. and not even ask, it's like, well, what would he like to do? It's like, he's right there, ask him, and that's that whole thing of seeing the potential and realizing who you're talking to. And oh my goodness, I can think of a lot of different pieces that I've encountered in the last handful of years where when the person actually is looking at you and looking at the potential in you and seeing what's there. Yeah, people don't always see the potential themselves. I can only imagine being in that friend's position when we're good friends, and I've seen it over and over where people will ask me instead of him, or ask whoever happens to be with them instead of him, and it's like, I get why people do that. It's like that uncomfortability piece, perhaps, or just not, they're unsure. It's a new thing. But what a difference it makes then when somebody comes and actually speaks directly to them and is treating them like the person they are. What a difference. So like what you're saying there, that she saw that big potential in you. So how did that spur you forward? Because I know you talked about with communication and leadership skill building. Tell me a little more about that.
Yes, I eventually I joined her sales team, right? And she continued to challenge me. And what was really fascinating for me now that I reflect, was that I wasn't giving her really any evidence that I could rise up to the challenge. As I was sharing, I was more into a young mind life, substances and partying and being late for everything and being responsible for nothing. However, she was like, okay, this is your deadline. And what is your promise? And then now I'm going to hold you account to your promise, and I'll see you on that day. And I was rising up, to her challenges, and I was meeting them. And they weren't very big challenges, but now I can see she was giving me the challenges that I was saying I could, right? And now I started creating a new life for myself, and I go to school, and I eventually graduate in a field of international business. And now I'm getting a job, and now my life is different. And then I had a skydiving accident where I was for about 8 months. I couldn't walk, and I lost my job, and I lost my houses, and I lost everything I had built up until that point, right? Savings, everything. And so while I was recuperating in bed, trying to get my walking back again, I started to notice that I didn't know how to create teams around me. I noticed that everything I had built was on my own. And so I got sort of interested in how to create a team. I had a small company trying to go, but I had no team. And given that I couldn't really go anywhere at the time because of the pain and everything, then I started noticing, I don't know how to create teams. And that I found that to be a little fascinating. So I started reading all of John Maxwell's books. Maybe you're familiar with that, but
I
I
love him.
became fascinated by John Maxwell. And he has like 40 books. I think I read 27 of them while I was in bed. I read them all. I got fascinated, and I started creating this team. And then I started studying a little bit more the art and the science of effective leadership. And that led me to go to work for an organization that had an international blueprint. And that's how I ended up in Africa, and that's how I ended up in different places. And that's really where it all started for me. And then now, many years later, now I see it as my life's work and my passion, which is to learn from the collective. Now, listening to people's ideas is where the magic happens. And so I train people on how to get people to talk and to get the best ideas out of people. And you just never know where that best idea is going to come from. You just got to hear them all. And so I train people to get there and to take all guilt and to take all shame out of a conversation, because guilt and shame prevents people from speaking and creating. So I train organizations, I train teams to take all of that out of the space so that we can hear what people are thinking. And that's how it started. So
That's amazing. So when you are doing these trainings then and bringing teams, creating teams, what is uh if somebody is in your shoes where you were and is trying to create a team within what the organization is where they are, what would be a key thing that they should be thinking about and how to go about that?
mhm. Yes, there's really a small science to it, but it's quite simple and it takes a while to see its simplicity. That's where the training happens. And I think that it's about being clear about the purpose of the reason for you, the team, or the reason for the business, for you, if you will, or the reason for the organization. And once a person is clear about its purpose, then it is about sharing the purpose. It's not so much about the goals. The goals not necessarily inspire people as much as being part of a mission. And so, what I've learned over the years was to become better at sharing the mission, at sharing the impact. And I started noticing that the best minds are attracted by missions. And so I got really lucky. I started working with my business partner now, Sorel, and he has been a mentor of mine for a long time. But this is someone who is a high executive. This is someone I could never hire for my company. So I didn't go there to hire him, or I never went to him to see if he can work for me or with. No, I went there to share the mission. What are we committed to here? And I started sharing with as many people as I had around me this very big mission I had, which is to awaken the leadership of people, the leader within. And our methodology got connected with a few other people and a few other people and then a few other people. And then I started noticing that the best minds connect with mission, not with salaries. And that's how I would say that's what I would tell someone to start looking at. Get connected, really connected emotionally with your mission and share your mission with others. And then they'll see that the best minds will get attracted to that.
That makes so much sense. I love that. I mean, as you're saying that, I can totally picture along in my lifetime here too, the different organizations that I've been attracted to and have participated with. And, I don't think I ever thought about it in that way, but that is exactly a piece of what is the attractive point there is seeing that the mission of what the organization stands for, what they're doing, and really kind of buying into that and to be able to participate that way. Oh, I love that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, and I was going to ask, I know you had met Emily and Kurt through the Daily Huddle. Is that right? So,
Correct.
can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Oh, I love to. So I was mentioning my business partner and mentor and friend Sorrel. And I've been working with him, and he first was one of my initial mentors. So for about 15 years or so, and now in the last 4 years, we started working together in some of the projects. And so when the pandemic started, we had a number of clients, and he had his clients, and I had my clients, and everyone was kind of calling to get ideas to reinvent ourselves and to reinvent the business, given that everything was changing so quickly. And so I was having a lot of calls during the day just on just grounding people emotionally because of the changes that were happening. Not strategy, just like it's going to be okay. And so I told Sorel and said, hey, Sorel, why don't we create a call in the morning where we ground ourselves for the rest of the day and we invite our friends? Why don't we do that? And our clients and the people we work with, and we just huddle up. We'll call it the daily huddle. It really, that's how it happened. That there was no thinking tank about this. We just huddle up and we call it the daily huddle, and we invite our friends and our clients and whoever wants to come. And that's what we did at the beginning. It wasn't Facebook Live. We just met with our friends and families and clients at Zoom. And then we thought, we should put this on live. We should put this on Facebook. And then we started having guests. And the idea of the daily huddle at the beginning was to anchor people to a powerful state in the morning, not to what's in the news, not to what's inside our head, but a declare powerful state. I am here. I am the way I am. I am the way I say I am. I'm grateful for this. And just to anchor ourselves in the morning. And that was 1,000 episodes ago. So next week, we're going to actually celebrate our 1,000 episode. And now we have hosts for every day. We have a host for money and mindset. We have a host for relationships and communication. We have a host for health and vitality, for spirituality, and for businesses. So every day we have a different pillar of life, and it's a lot of fun. So that's how we met Emily and Kurt.
Excellent. If people wanted to be able to tune into that or find out more about that, where would they go?
Yes, very easy. At dailyhuddle.live. Dailyhuddle.live.
Okay, so
and either on Facebook or that's our website. So they'll get the Zoom link and they can join us every morning at 9 Eastern time.
excellent. And that's a Monday through Friday kind of a thing,
Monday
correct?
through Friday, a half an hour conversation. There's usually a new guest, new conversation. It's a very powerful way to start the day.
That's fantastic. I love that. You know, you always hear about how if you can set yourself up for your day in the morning like that and to be in the right mindset, how much more productive you'll be, how much more you can be. And how many of us actually do that though? We hear that, but you know, that is if for anyone who has not tried something like that in the morning to set themselves off in the right direction that way, I'm just kind of curious what kind of a change they may find in themselves just by having that stepping stone in the morning. Because I'm one of those people that I'm always up late at night trying to get things done, and getting up in the morning can be a struggle. But if you've got a reason to get up like that, that's going to be that powerful thing to look forward to. I love that. That's fantastic.
Yes, we
So,
hope you come tomorrow. Like Emily does. She comes usually. Emily's there.
excellent. So that's actually that kind of a fun way to get to meet you being our guest here today, to get to meet you on a screen personally like that. And yes, and Emily being there and Kurt. And I know actually am I remembering correctly? Is there something with Ability Huddle tomorrow? So,
Is it tomorrow? Maybe.
I think
haven't
it's
seen
Friday. I
it.
think it's
Friday.
Friday.
It's Friday.
Friday.
That's Friday.
You'd think I knew what day of the week it is. So that's I've been doing that all week. It's like everything's a blur. I actually work at a university and classes just kicked in this week. So yeah, things are a blur right now. It's in a wonderful way. I'm loving it. It's so nice to be back and to have all sorts of things going on. But yeah, it's been in my head. It's been a Thursday all day instead of a Wednesday. So I'm glad I made it here. But so just totally off topic, what kinds of things do you enjoy doing for fun?
My fun is many different ways I have fun. I really truly love what I do. And so in the preparation, I have fun. In the delivery of the work, I have fun. And my life is fun. So in almost every way. I do like to disconnect when I play tennis. Tennis is where I disconnect and where I don't need to get better. I'm not competing necessarily with the world. And I've given up on making it to the Grand Slams. So I have a lot of fun playing tennis. I do play chess as well. And I have a daughter and she's 7 years old. And she likes chess, so I have fun with that. I like fun like everybody likes fun. I love going on vacations every now and then. But I think and reading as well is where I disconnect as well. I would say tennis is my favorite hobby.
Excellent. So, and I know you had said you like travel, and I know with it sounded like with your work, you've actually gone a lot of different places as well. What's your favorite place that you've been?
I
That
have
might be a hard
different
choice.
places for different places for favorite. I would say London is one of my favorite cities. I really like visiting London. I like being there. I like the old of London and the new of London. I like the competitive nature that England is and the culture and the history of it. So I love visiting London. But that's a different aspect of what I like about. I'm originally from Colombia, and there's a city in Colombia called Cartagena. And the last time I went there, I fell in love with it. It's actually it's a city that was built inside of walls. That it was the walls that were protecting the colonizers, I guess, back in the days. But I love the feel of that city, and every time I'm there, I always think, man, this is the city I want to be in. And for last, that I want to say that I absolutely love going to Dominican Republic. I love the people, and every time I go there, I feel like I grow spiritually. So it's like I have different cities for different things, and I can go on and on. I really like a lot about a lot of things, a lot of places.
That's beautiful. So, well, and I gotta ask the question then: have you ever been in Wisconsin? You made it up this far north?
I have not been to Wisconsin. I have not been to Wisconsin. A really good friend of mine was living there up until 3 months ago, and I didn't
Ah,
make it.
awesome. So, I'm just gonna throw totally open the door here of want to make sure it was there anything else that you wanted to make sure to share with us? I've got more questions I can ask, but I want to make sure you're getting to share all the things that you had on your mind too. So did you have anything else that was burning in the top of your mind that you want to make sure to get into that yet?
I wanted to share with you that the last time that Kurt was at our daily huddle at our morning podcast, he was sharing something that really changed my life. He said, you've got to include people with different kind of disabilities to your board of directors, to your decision makers, because they bring a different context that is not available for the organization. And I thought that that was really, really interesting, really brilliant idea. And in our company, we have been working for a while with a gentleman who has been fighting a disease, I guess, that eats his own body. And so he's been losing his muscles and his movement. He has been deteriorating, and he's been fighting it in many ways. But there was a point where he was only able to be productive for about an hour a day before his pain will start kicking in. And so, but he will devote that hour to us for our weekly meeting. And every time he said something, it will anchor us to the possibility of being human. And it kept us with perspective every time. And I never saw how much of contribution he was being to our organization until Kurt came to the Daily Huddle and said, you've got to include this kind of thinking, this perspective, this context that is not available when all is familiar, when you take things for granted. And so I wanted to add that for today's occasion.
I love that. And it does. It makes a lot of sense to be able to have a more diverse cross section of those that you're consulting and those that you're working with, because that, yeah, you more minds, more ideas, bringing it all together. That's what really can make the productive growth, and to really be all encompassing that way, that you can do the best for the most people in the best way possible. Because I always say, when you like you're talking about having a team, it's having all those different minds and all those different perspectives that really can bring that strength in a team together. So, oh, this has been such a delight to get to know you, Giovanni. I love this, and I would love to have you come back again sometime. So, for again, my name is Sue Roskoff, and with AbilityMKE Now, we thank you.